If you want to know how to do buttery zoom in and zoom out effects like this, then stick around, because today we're going to be going through the methods that I use to do this in DaVinci Resolve. So we open up DaVinci Resolve and we select the clip that we want to zoom in by clicking on it. We want to scroll up to the top right and click the Inspector tab if it isn't already open. And from there click Transform to go into the Transform drop-down menu. So what we want to do then is go to the point in the clip where you want the zoom to begin. Now once you've got your playhead hovering over that point, then you want to come up to that Transform menu and click this little red dot next to the zoom function. Now once we have this done, we need to go to the point in the video where you want the zoom to end. Now in my case I normally just go about 10 frames, so if you want to do that, you can just hit the right arrow key on your keyboard and tab forward 10 frames. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now when we have this done, we'll click the red dot next to the zoom function again to drop another keyframe. Now this will be the end point, or where we want the zoom to finish. Now at this point we can zoom the clip in to the level that we want the zoom to be at. And we can do this by clicking in either this X or Y box and then dragging to the right to scale up. Now a problem that I see again and again is when people zoom their clips in, they don't like the new framing on it. And the natural tendency is to just come down and adjust this position slider. Now I'll tell you why you don't want to do that. So here's a perfect example of what can happen if you use the position slider to adjust your framing. So it looks perfectly fine when we've got the zoomed in version, but when we zoom out, you can see that the position is all wrong at the start of that sequence. So the black bars are visible on the left and on the top of the screen, which obviously you don't really want. Now there is a fix for this. Instead of using the position slider, if we scroll on down and use the anchor points instead, this is a much better way of doing this. So what we do is we go to the keyframe where the zoom effect is finished, and then we reframe using the anchor points. Now you'll see the effect that this has when you go back to the start of the clip, and you'll notice that those black borders are no longer visible. So this is a much better method of doing this zoom transition. We've covered zooming in, but how do we zoom back out? And yeah, you guessed it, it's just reverse engineered and do exactly the same thing in reverse. So we drop another keyframe at the point where we're zoomed in, we go forward another 10 frames, we drop another keyframe and we set the point where it's zoomed out, or in other words, back to the original zoom level. And when it's done, it'll look a little something like this. Now I know what you're thinking it's almost there, but it doesn't look quite as good as it could. So if we want to ramp that a little bit and add the sauce on top, then let's jump back into DaVinci Resolve and do that. So we've got all our zoom points set up at this stage. So go back to your first zoom point. Now you'll know that you're on the keyframe when you see the red dot illuminated. So if you're not on the keyframe, then that red dot won't be illuminated. Now what you want to do is right click on that red dot. Now you'll see this menu come up which says linear or ease out. So you want to select the ease out option. Now if you click on the right arrow next to the red dot, that'll bring you to the next keyframe in the sequence, which is the one where the zoom effect finishes. Now from here you can right click on the red dot again and select ease in. And now you can see when you play that back, it's got a little bit more of a speed ramp. It just looks that little bit smoother and a little bit cleaner, and it sells the effect much better. Now if you want to refine this even more, then you can scroll down to your timeline, and on your video sequence you can click the spline menu. Now after you click this, you might have to drag out the window to be able to see this, but this is what it'll look like. So this is effectively just a zoom ramp that you've created, so you can play around with this to make it look exactly as you want. So for example, by dragging up and down on the dots, you can increase or decrease the zoom level, and you can also play with the speeds by dragging those around. Now by using all these tools, you should be able to create the effect exactly as you'd like it. And with that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, follow along for more, and we'll see you in the next one.